Okay, today we want to talk about what does it take to go racing. I know a lot of guys, when they think of ODSS and the Outlaw Diesel Super Series, they think of the Pro Mod, they think of the Pro Street trucks, the 590 trucks, the Pro vehicles. They see stacker trailers, they see enclosed trailers, and they just see it 100% out of reach of something that they can do. But what I want to talk about is really the foundation of this racing, and that is the ET 770 and 670 classes. And these are a lot more affordable classes. There's a spot for the average Joe in each one of these classes. So starting from a daily driver, take my 2019 for an instance. That is a completely stock truck. It is not fast. It's 400 horsepower. It ran a 10.6 in the 8th mile. Mostly because it has torque management, you can't launch it, but that can compete in the ET class, and you have just as good a chance at winning $1,000 winning the ET class in something slow and consistent as you do that something fast, because the faster you go, you're more likely to get a little bit of tire spin, it's not going to be as consistent, and you have more chance of losing. So I see often in the ET class, see the slower truck that leaves first win. That being said, I want to just make sure you guys have a good understanding of what these classes really are, so that if you got an event local and you've enjoyed going watching, you've often wondered, you know, what would my truck do, or can I have a part of it? Absolutely. There are tons of teams out there that are willing to help you guys. I know I coach a lot of people through, like customers that buy a transmission. They're like, hey, I want to drag race. What do I do? And if you let me know, any of the guys here at Firepunk will be glad to help you, kind of coach you through the first steps of what do you do, do's and don'ts of a drag strip. You want to drive around the water box, how to stage, how to make sure you don't burn the other guy down, and how to run the tree, and getting your time slip, what's it take to win, what are the keys and tips to be competitive in an ET class. So let's start with the ET class. The basics are you are setting your own elapsed time. So they give you 2 qualifying runs. You go out and run your truck all out. I mean, you could put on the lowest tune if you're scared of breaking something, but you want a shot at $1,000 to win at an ODSS event. So you go out, let's say you run a 10-second quarter mile, and your second pass you run a 10.2 second mile, or 8th mile, sorry. That is, now you need to decide, you've run a 10.0 and you've run a 10.2, and you need to write your own dial on your window, and that is telling the track what you think your truck will run. I generally would take the fastest time that the vehicles run, and I put that on my window, because if you go faster than your time, then you lose. So you put 10.0 on your glass, and you pull up, you get in line, and you go into eliminations. Let's say the competitor you're racing has dialed a 8.0. So now there's a 2-second difference in your times, 10.0 versus 8.0. The guys in the tower will enter your times in the system, and it will actually stagger the start times in a 2-second difference. So the guy with the 10-second dial-in time is going to leave exactly 2 seconds before the guy with the 8-second dial-in time. And this is so that if you both run your number, you're going to cross the finish line at the exact same time. So that means if 10-second truck, you jump in it, light goes green, you leave. If you get to the finish line and the guy that you're racing is still 3 trucks behind, you're going to actually want to be on your brakes to make sure that you're not on the way to run a 9.8 or something faster than your time. You're actually slowing yourself down, because you know as long as you cross the finish line first, you're going to win. So the thing with the ET class is it's whoever runs closest to their number without going under or going faster than your number wins the race. So it's not about the fastest truck, it's not about the most powerful, it's not about who has the most money, it's about who knows their truck the best and who can get the best reaction time, get out in front and stay in front without going faster than the time that you said you will. So believe it or not, everybody's like, I never want to hit the brakes when I'm racing. You know, you just want to go all out. If you want to go all out, you're going to need to have a lot of money, because heads-up racing is never a very affordable option, because if it's all about just going faster than the guy beside you, then it comes down to spending money and buying more parts, making more horsepower, which causes more broken parts, and that is what the pro classes are. When you run Pro Street, Pro Mod, Top Dragster, that's however fast you want to go, rock and roll. That is why the diesel classes have gone back to indexes, and that has really saved just normal people a lot of money, because you can make an 800 horsepower truck and stay at 800 horsepower, and you can learn your truck and win. So let's go, that's the ET class. Let's move forward to the 770 class. The 770 class is a great next step up from ET. This generally takes between 750 and 800 horsepower in a quad cab short bed truck. Larson's mega cab is 7,300 pounds with him in it. It's a cloth interior truck, so it's not as heavy as some mega cabs, and it takes his truck about right at 800. Blake Miller has a quad cab short bed. He's right at 7,000 pounds, and it takes him like 760 to 770 horsepower to run the 770 index. And this class is a heads-up class where the index is set. You're both dialed in at 770, and it's whoever can go closest to 770 without going 769 or 1/10 or 1/100 faster than 770, you lose. And this has made, like Larson in 2016 or 2017 before he's racing the Pro Mod, I believe he won $12,000 in the year of 2017 racing the 770 class. And he wasn't spending money making his truck go faster. He had bought the parts that he needed to make 800 horsepower, and then he could just keep it there and dial the truck in. He learned how to get a good reaction time. He learned the truck. He knew that if it was hotter outside and if his 60 foot slowed down, he'd click his EFI tune up like another 10 horsepower. He just kind of learned the truck and knew what it take to run that number and be consistent. So it wasn't about who had the most money, who had the most parts. It was about who knew the truck the best and who could run the number. And you got to run 770 with a 2 and 770 with a 4. And if you watch these classes, they're fun, because now we've got, you know, a class of 20 to 40 trucks sometimes that all run within within that number, and they're side-by-side races. It's heads-up racing with a ET limit, and it's a lot of fun. You can make some good money if you know how to do it. Obviously, never build a race truck to make money, because you still probably end up spending more than you'll make. But if you're not trying to go faster every time you go to the drag strip, you're gonna be a lot further ahead financially, because you're not always breaking parts. Like we see a lot of 770 trucks be able to make between 200 and 300 passes before they have to wrench on something. Like Ryan Riddle, he's won a lot of races and made hundreds of passes, and he just last weekend dirt dragging broke his standard size billet input shaft. That shaft has had hundreds of passes put on it. He's won a lot of events with it, and he's been very consistent. So you can go a long way if you just slow yourself down into a class that you fit and can afford. Now moving forward, if you have a 770 truck and you really want to make more power, let's say you hurt your motor, and when you rebuild it, you put billet rods in it, and now you want to make 1,200 horsepower, or you want to run the 670 index, you're moving forward. Most of the 670 trucks are going to have radial tires. So guys are swapping radials on their trucks. They're putting roll cages in their trucks because of the time you have to have a roll cage with a 670 truck. Like my quad cab runs the 670 index. I can still daily drive it. It has a bolt-in roll cage, so you can take it out during the week and bolt the roll cage in on the weekends and go racing and be safe, meet the track safety regulations. And it takes me 1,280 horsepower to run the 670 index at 7,760 pounds. It's a heavy truck. Most of the time, your biggest advantage to go faster without making that much horsepower is by lightening your truck up. That's why you see some of these 670 trucks. Tyler Pochet, he's got a regular cab that he did a back half and 4-link and bedsides. He's really lightened up the truck, and now he can run the 670 index with a stock engine, just ARP 625s, otherwise stock, with a S475 and I think a 200% over injector. So it's an affordable race truck when you take the weight out of the truck. As opposed to like the quad cab, it takes a lot of an engine to be able to run 1,280 horsepower over and over and over, and it takes a lot of transmission to be able to run that. So the lighter you make your vehicle, the faster you can go at the same speed. But the 670 class, again, You've got a mid 10-second truck. It's fast, it's fun, but there is still an ET cap. So once you get your truck set up to where it's reliable at the horsepower level it takes to run that number, you can just run that over and over again and dial yourself in and get better at racing. And you can win races without having an unlimited budget and closed trailer and all this fancy stuff. So I really want to focus on these classes so that you guys know if you want to get out and race and it looks like a lot of fun and you don't think you can afford it, just turn your truck down a little bit, run some of the slower classes, get your feet wet, figure out what you like, figure out what you enjoy, and put some money in the bank. And once you have some money saved up, you know, buy that transmission you need, buy the extra turbo you need to jump up a class. And it's all baby steps. This is 2019. I started with baby steps running the ET class in 2005. That was 14 years ago, and I ran a 14.4 at 96 miles an hour, and I was like on top of the world. I pulled into the beams, my foot was shaking. It was the first pass I ever made at the drag strip, and I'm doing it at the IRP 2005 event, and I was absolutely hooked. So looking back, that's not even that fast, but I had so much fun doing it. It was something I knew that I wanted to go back and try to be more consistent and win. And now 14 years later, you know, we have progressively moved faster and faster, and now we've got some pretty fast race trucks. I knew that I couldn't afford to have a normal job and be able to play with race trucks at the level I do unless I learned how to work it all myself, and that's a lot of the reason why Firepunk is what it is today, is because we just put all our time and efforts into trucks. That was my hobby, that was my work, that was my fun. Like, we did it day in, day out, and we learned a lot. So we hope to see you guys on the racetrack someday. If you've got a truck that is suitable to race and you guys think it's fun and you need some help and advice, hit us up. We'd be glad to help you. Or if you see us at an event, say, hey, Levon, I'm getting ready to make my first pass. Can you give me any pointers? I'll be glad to walk you through it. We'll go, one of us guys will go to the starting line with you and make sure you're spotted so you're not lining your truck up on the rear tires or something funny like that where everybody's going to point and laugh. And if it does, that's no big deal. But that is part of the learning curve, and it's a lot of fun. So it puts you on a level that you can actually compete at the level that you're at right now. So wherever your truck is, there is a spot for you in the ODSS. You can go out and race, and we'd love to see you guys out there. So don't think that you're not good enough to race because you can't fit in a pro class, because it's really the ET 770 and 670 classes that are the foundation. Almost every pro driver started in the ET class and worked their way into it, because you won't be a good racer until you get a lot of seat time, and the slower classes is where you get seat time, because you can make a lot of passes and have a lot of fun even if you're not setting the world on fire on your ET and mile per hour times.